I don't believe that any individual is born to be in a box. I believe that we're super gifted individually, and we can do anything that we want to do.
In today's episode, we have the pleasure of hosting Ernest Akinlola. Ernest is the Managing Director of Bbox Nigeria, a leader in renewable energy solutions.
I bring a very strong sense of customer-centricity from the telecom sector into renewable energy. We're buffering Bbox on good customer UX experiences, payment channels.
Over 20 years of experience in the telecom industry, Ernest has played pivotal roles in launching and scaling major MVNOs, which are mobile virtual network operators, such as Virgin Mobile UK, Akinola, Lebara, and Entel across Europe and Africa.
If you have an innovation right now, and it's just said that about 60% of Nigerians won't be able to use it, so one thing doesn't really matter. They won't be able to use it because most people do not have smartphones. Most people that you know have smartphones, but that's not all of Nigeria.
Ernest's journey is in the energy sector is equally impressive. At Bbox Nigeria, he is driving the transformation of energy access, providing solar energy solutions to millions, and fostering sustainable development in Nigeria. His leadership extends to building strategic partnerships with government and NGOs, ensuring the growth and impact of renewable energy initiatives.
Investors don't really invest in just the idea. They invest in scalability and they invest in the team. So that's the other thing. Who's your team? How robust is your team? Do you have diversity in your team? I think diversity is very, very important.
Beyond his corporate roles, Ernest is a mentor for the World Bank Startup Acceleration Programs, guiding aspiring entrepreneurs to success, and he's also a keynote speaker and angel investor passionate about empowering communities through innovation and technology.
If you're going to come up with an innovative product, yes, design your native app. Yes, make it all the whistles and bells, build an AI, but you need to think in terms of USSD and SMS if you want to reach the masses.
Ernest's expertise spans across various domains, including iGaming, digital retail solutions, and digital aggregation platforms. His entrepreneurial ventures, such as Alumno and Right Instinct Limited, focused on customer engagement and business growth in the digital age. Welcome, Ernest Akinlola, to Molo Molo African Tech Stories.
Good morning, Pauline, and thank you for having me here today.
I was just saying off air, I'm really excited for this conversation. Just looking at your profile, I feel like there's a lot of things to talk about, which are very in line with what we are trying to bring as Molo Molo. But I thought we should start off very simply by asking, who is Ernest to his family, friends, and how does he see himself getting to this point in his life?
Well, who is Ernest? I guess an interesting introduction would be, my name is Ernest, and but I'm also an Ernest character. So I'm Ernest by name and Ernest by nature. And I think that really sums me up in many respects. I'm an open book. I'm a very supportive person. I'm like this to my friends, to my family, to my work. There's only one version of Ernest, and so you either like me or you don't like me. It's I'm like Marmite, right? So yes, it's an acquired taste or it's not an acquired taste. I'm a person that I'm very driven. I'm very, very driven. I'm just as driven as I was when I was 21 years old, right? So because part of my ethos of my values is that you should always strive to be your best, keep on learning, keep on supporting. And anybody that comes to me for guidance and support, I'm just a sucker for that because I just want to see progression in everything that I do or everything I'm involved with. So it's the same thing with my kids, same thing with my family, my friends, and colleagues. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a driven person. I don't believe that any individual is born to be in a box. I believe that we're super gifted individually, and we can do anything that we want to do. This is not just cliche. This is what I've found out along my journey. Of course, I've had doubts, yeah, but as I've conquered those doubts, I've realized that actually I can do anything I want to achieve, and so can everybody else. So that's kind of who I am essentially as a person.
Throughout our conversation, you've had two specific things stuck on the wall. Do you mind telling us kind of the root cause and what they are, and why do you feel so passionate about having them behind you?
Well, okay, so what happened is I had kids. It's not like so I have four boys and one girl. So obviously my little girl is my little princess, and she's always designing things for daddy. So one of them is this daddy's always on his laptop. So one of them is good. But she designed a laptop. And the interesting thing is in the it says, I love him so much. Right?
Oh, nice.
So, so she's very creative and so I enjoy my children a lot, still I have, I've got older kids, got one in banking, he's a banking graduate. And so we always talk about he's more like me, he's more commercial driven. I have another son who graduates this July, and he's more philosophical, so yeah, family is important, and I like to be reminded of them because they're the ones that they drive me and I drive them.
Nice. That's really good to hear. And in terms of telecom, how did you get into the telecom industry and of course later on renewable energy? How did that come about?
Yeah, well, that's so that's very interesting, right? So when I graduated, when I was doing I did a degree in economics. I I was obsessed working for FMCG, and I wanted to work for Coca-Cola or PZ Cousins or Unilever, fast-moving consumer goods because I'm a visual person. I like to see what I'm doing, right? And so I see these products every day, and I'm thinking, I'd love to work in that space. But of course, it was very uber competitive to get into an invited training scheme. So I ended up working initially in pharmaceuticals for GlaxoSmithKline, and then I worked for UPS, United Parcel Service. I still held. I mean, you could argue that they were also fast-moving consumer goods. I mean, UPS is a small organization, so was Glaxo. But then there was the start of the telecoms revolution in UK, right? So once one launched, and I figured, well, I'm going to see these smartphones everywhere. I can see it's like a fast-moving consumer good, right? So that's how
Yeah.
I was fortunate to get into one-to-one, because it was which then subsequently got acquired by T-Mobile, and so that's how I got into telecommunications. And I've been in it practically ever since, right? So up until I joined entered into renewable energies, and I had many roles there, many different departments. Again, I'm a trained qualified accountant, so actually when I joined one-to-one, I joined as head of audit. Okay. Well, remember what I said at the beginning. I can do anything I want. Anybody can do anything they feel they can. So I've moved from there during my years in telecoms from finance, into partnership, into commercial, into business development, marketing director, etc. So I've excelled in every role that I've taken. So, that's how the story of telecoms became part of my DNA, right? And then in terms of renewable energy, um, so I'm driven by things that are new, where I can be very creative. I'm typically not attracted to established businesses which have been running for years and there's established procedures, how it should be done. Nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. But there was a time when they were not like that. There was a time when they were birthed. And for me, I like that birthing period. I like to create. I like to lead and disrupt the markets, right? I'm a strong believer in creative disruption. So I'm drawn to greenfield sites or broken sites where something's just broken and it's not working. I like fixing things and making things happen. So it was natural that I joined telecoms. And in renewable energy in Nigeria, it's very nascent. So I always find myself at the pinnacle of new nascent industries. It's just, I guess it's what I put out there and it's what comes back to me. So I was approached so let's just establish Bbox Nigeria. I didn't really know much about solar, but I knew about lots of I know about running business in Africa, right? So and it's been a very, very enjoyable, self-fulfilling journey as well.
Wow, that's very interesting. I like what you say in terms of you wanting to be part of something that is growing and not so much staying in something that is already established. And I think that's quite an interesting kind of view on things, because if you think about it from an African perspective, you are looking for stability, right? You are consistently looking for stability, whether it's work or your business, and hence a lot of African professionals feel that their stability will be maybe in Europe or in the US. It will be more stable, quote unquote. How do you respond to that, to those type of individuals who feel that pursuit of stability will bring a peace of mind versus kind of being involved in more, like you've done, a bit more dynamic environment where your growth could be even higher?
I love this question. I love this question. First of all, everybody is different. Everybody's peace of mind is different. There was an ancient survey that was carried out a few years ago. Not even a few years ago, a couple of years ago. And it said 89% of professionals are satisfied with their work. Right? Now, that's because most of us I use the word afflicted in a light-hearted way by the demands and the expectations of society, friends, etc. Have a job, stay in the job forever, don't rock the boat, keep your nose clean, all those type of things. And then you have your mortgage and your children got school fees, etc. And you got school fees and all these items. And so you stay in a role, it looks good, good optics, good career growth, good career path. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm a corporate beast. I'm down and most of my career. But inside of me, there was how I feel, what drives me, what gives me that this sense of enjoyment is creative disruption. I can't deny it. It's there all the time. So I've been able to balance, and I've been fortunate that I've been able to balance a corporate career. Well, within that corporate career, always looking for creative roles. So I was in T-Mobile, I was in a very secure, very high growth company, very established. But I was always doing projects. I rolled out the first 250 retail stores for T-Mobile UK in London. I ran audits. I launched Virgin Mobile on the T-Mobile network, which was an MVNO, never been done before. But I did it within the cocoon of a secure company. So I had to find ways to give myself the energy that I needed to be productive and to be engaged, because there's no point in living the life, right? And then at the end you have, well, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that. Do you know something very interesting? Most entrepreneurs, successful ones, started their businesses when they were 40 plus. It's not the Gen Zs. And the reason is this: they've had some sort of training in the corporate space, and then they've used those disciplines and understandings to then pivot into the more entrepreneurial side of things. I've been successful everywhere, and I say this: you are not designed to be in a box, right? You could occupy multiple boxes, right? Because we're multi-dimensional beings. And so for me, what I say to people that say stability, that's just if that's what drives them, if that gives them comfort, by all means, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. I've got a friend who has got 35 years continuous employment with a group of companies, and his pension is going to be insane. Absolutely secure, perfect, guilt edged, right?
Yeah.
And that's good for him, and it makes him feel good. And I'm happy for that. Uh, I'm okay. Okay, but I'm living now. I'm living now, and I want to, my energy levels are just as high Sometimes I think, why am my energy levels still so high? I don't get it, but that's who I am. So
Yeah.
so see, if anybody is true to who they really are, it's a bit like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, right? So I always use this analogy. If everybody on this planet was a single jigsaw piece, okay, and there were 7 billion jigsaw pieces, you know what happens with a jigsaw puzzle, right? You find a piece and we think it fits there, but it doesn't quite fit there. And what happens if all the other pieces around it don't quite fit? But when you find the space that's supposed to, what happens to all the other pieces around it? They fit perfect. And I think that's a good analogy for life and career. When you find out who you are and you pursue who you are, all the pieces around it fit. So I don't really worry about the future per se. I'm an accountant, so I'm not foolish.
Yes.
I've done the things I need to do, but I also need to live who I am. And some people be inspired by this, some people be encouraged by this. We're going to talk about some other things that have inspired so many people to come out to have the courage to think differently. It's courageous. Long answer, but pain.
No, brilliant. I really love that answer because it's especially the analogy on the jigsaw puzzle. It is exactly that. And not every career move will perfectly fit into a jigsaw puzzle. And and your point is that you always need to find your true self within that jigsaw puzzle and potentially be adaptable as you need to move forward. Very,
Yeah.
very awesome. Thank you so much, Ernest. I mean, let's try and get into kind of Bbox Nigeria. And what are some of the key challenges you faced, one in launching it, but also scaling it from a solar energy perspective? And how did you overcome them?
Yeah, well, Bbox is that journey has been a very engaging, probably one of the best roles I've ever done in my career. Right? Again, it was almost a perfect creation role. It was nascent, new industry. Okay, I mean it's not brand new, but it's very in the early stages. There was no structure in place, right? So just a blank canvas, and I was employee number one. Yeah, employee number one. So,
Nice.
so we had everything that was just a blanket canvas. This go and make it happen. Now, of course, I need to supposed to refer to the fact that Bbox is in 10 countries. Across Africa, it's the leading solar renewable energy company in Africa, and of course, we've got other established opcos. We call them opcos in Kenya, Rwanda, etc. 10 years. So, whilst I was setting up a brand new in Nigeria, I had the opportunity to stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So I knew what not to do or what to do based on what had happened in Rwanda and Kenya, on Uganda, oh, not Uganda, DRC. And so there were learners, and then there's an exec team that were very, very strong guidance for. So the point I'm trying to make is yes, we overcame, we established, but the Lord is lead, not I. There was very much a lead team effort. And it was fantastic. I mean, it's so great when you have a blueprint, but you also have the creative, you have to localize that blueprint to make it effective in Nigeria. So I was given a second gift in launching Nigeria, Gigos, which was I was able to recruit staff member number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So basically, I did my own team. Now, you know in business that when you take over another company, if you inherit a team, first of all, you need to understand the team, win them over, build them, and then shape them into the direction that we want them to go. And you'll find some people that will be resistant, some that will adapt, and some that don't. That takes a lot of effort and energy, right? Now, when you start something from scratch, and you're choosing people not in my own mold, but in terms of the mold of the values and the ethos of people. And they're not necessarily versions of me. They're not really me's, but they are aligned with me, right? And so when you go together as a team, there's not much that you can't conquer. So that was a gift, and I'll say that it should never be discounted, right? In terms of the ability to pick your own team and grow that team. And then there's loyalty, there's focus, there's alignment, there's whole congruence, very important. So, what obstacles did we encounter? Everything, like
Yeah.
you know, Nigeria is not for the faint-hearted. It's a very tough operating domain. However, there's also opportunity. Identifying where we're going to roll out our shops, even just trying to secure a location, importing products from China, which we do, and then distribution, setting up our distribution network, recruiting agents. Making sure that we had the right standard processes and procedures to make sure that we didn't suffer fraud or defaults from customers. Catching up with them. I mean, we had the blueprints from Bbox Group, but we had to localize a lot of them. Sometimes we had to change them. And we made some mistakes. We made some mistakes in our initial price. Again, we had some competitors. But all of this, Pauline, it was a pleasure. To me, I loved it because it was new and we were the up and coming one. I love being the person that is the challenger. I love being David in a David and Goliath scenario because Goliath, everybody expects it to win, right? So I love the challenge, and I did that when I was at Etisalat, and that's when we started. And yeah, it's so that Nigeria, we were challenging the. So it gives you something to target. It gives you a focus, and which I love. I'm a very competitive person, and I like to do it. And we did phenomenally well. We growing our base and making sure we didn't make the mistakes. We learned from others, right? We learned. We're learning, thinking organization.
Nice. Now, off topic, will I be right by saying that you are an Arsenal supporter?
You'd be very wrong, but I'll give you 50%, right?
Yes.
Because all my sons are Arsenal supporters.
Nice.
I'm not a football fan to say I'm a Formula One. I'm a petrol head. I like football and basketball. Not that I play basketball, but I love the game.
Okay. Nice. Nice.
I'll give you 50%.
Well, I mean, that's the reason I'm mentioning it, of course, is that I mean, I am an Arsenal fan, and it is essentially the last decade has been the fight of the underdog
Yeah,
to
yeah,
to to get back into winning ways, even though we failed the last few seasons to win.
yeah.
Um,
I felt for my sons this year.
yeah, it was, man, I don't know what to tell you, man. The heartache was real
Well,
this
you did
past season.
get the shield. You got the FA Cup, right? So you got so
Yeah, but we all wanted the league.
yeah,
That's we were there, and yeah, we just have a much better opponent in Man City. So
yeah.
what can one do?
Next year, next year.
There's always next year. Now, it's very interesting to hear about the challenges, but also I think it's a resonating theme that you're mentioning, right? Which is adaptability and really riding with the challenge, riding with the understanding that the environment that you're going to be building a business, specifically in Africa, will be dynamic and you will have to kind of roll with the punches. But more importantly, also understand that the failures are just learnings that you can take forward to your next challenge and hopefully do better, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the word fail means first attempt in learning. It's an acronym, and
Nice.
and if you, I mean, what was it? Bill Gates said it that failure is a much better teacher than success. You need to be, not always be able to be a driven person. If you're not driven and you fail and you give up. But if you're driven, you just take that, okay, well, how do I make sure I don't do this again? And there's no way that has effect. There's no way that's been successful that has effect. That's it. So, in fact, it should see to fail. But quickly, I recover
Yeah. And fast, right?
fast, yes.
As Elon Musk says. Now, which is quite interesting in terms of that specific venture that's still ongoing. And I'm very curious to understand kind of the establishment of VNOs with respect to Bbox, but also like the fact that, it has a specific insight into telecom. And I would like you to share with us, how does that apply to renewable energy, if at all, and what are some of the commonalities between those two industries?
So basically, MVNOs have got their own. So MVNOs have just been mandated in Nigeria, and because I'm essentially one of the leading experts in MVNOs, currently not the very first one in the world, I get asked a lot about my opinions about it, etc. And so I've been, helping and advising, just basically helping mentoring some of the new CEOs in the MVNO space. Now, in terms of renewable energy is a nascent business. MVNOs in Nigeria are nascent, and there isn't any particular alignment between the two, but there is an alignment between telecommunications and renewable energy, especially from an IoT point of view. When we install solar on systems, which is the part of the value chain that Bbox occupies, to install them, we need to be able to monitor the usage of those systems, and we use IoT, so they will have soft SIMs in them. And I envisage that there's going to be more collaboration from a technology perspective between telecoms companies and renewable energy companies. And some of these MVNOs might be able to take advantage of that, because the whole purpose of an MVNO is to differentiate its services from the masses, right? By focusing on niche segments in the market. So, in terms of, I think one of the points you were referring to is what's the similarity between both of those industries? Well, as a business leader, like I mentioned, we occupy the B2C segment in both of those industries, or I've occupied when I was in any of those. And B2C means that we're dealing with the end customer, particularly, all the value chain. Both of them are utility plays, essentially, they're commodity, they're commoditized. I bring a very strong sense of customer centricity from the telecoms sector into renewable energy, and we're also Bbox on good customer UX experiences, payment channels. So we're very strong on that. Customer value management is very, very important to us. And I basically also have used the outlets for understanding simple about upload into others, UK, Nigerians, and so obviously the things are building out our own retail footprint for renewable energy. I had a lot of knowledge and understanding of what to leverage. But I never qualified as a marketing. I didn't do CIN. I'm ACCA qualified accountant number. However, I'm very successful as a marketing director at Etisalat, because it comes down to, again, I don't believe you're in a box, right? Our brains can do anything. And so there's a lot of rich experiences that I've been able to draw upon to help make and with my team, and now an awesome team, both in good and in locally, to make it happen in Nigeria. In terms of, I think we're really keen on the innovation and the future. In fact, there's a conference next week, specific in Lagos. What's the intersection between telecommunications and renewable energy providers? So I'm very keen to attend that, and I will be attending that and be making my contribution as well.
And what is the name of the conference?
It's the AMDA. It's called the Association of Mini Grid Development Association. So I think it's actually this invitation about USAID, right? So USAID are the ones that are chairing it. That'll be next week in Lagos. So
nice. And I think it's quite
us to be building that way from. So it's interesting. What I've noticed over the years is that industries are now converging. It's all one big ecosystem. Banks have become telcos have become banks. It's all merging. It's all converging, and that's been done by innovation, by technology, like AI and IoT, right? So it's a very fascinating space. So anybody that thinks, oh, I'm in the fashion industry, you need to now start thinking, no, I'm in telecommunications, I'm in fintech, I'm in renewable energy, this value chains are being merged.
Yeah. I think that's a very, very interesting last point, because with the the incoming resurgence or surging of AI and Internet of Things, as you mentioned, one can no longer think that you are an expert only in a specific area, but fundamentally be comfortable in really learning. So in a way, it's a very exciting time because people who've been in a certain industry for 20, 30 years have now the opportunity, but also the mandate potentially from their own company or others to really go into other spaces with the same focus of trying to bring value to their various customers. And I think that's a very exciting thing, which leads me to one specific question regarding the African context on renewable energy and telecom. Why do you think, and this is really something that I'm very curious about to hear your answer, what do you think, even though we have such a obvious way of trying to bring renewable energy to different African countries that lack access of power and also lack access of communication or connectivity, why is it still so new, and why is it such a slow uptake, according to you, on ensuring that it's really, in a way, that the number one kind of service that can easily be replicated across different countries in Africa? What would you say is some of the issues that prevent such a thing from really kicking off quite quickly?
Okay, good. Right. Got so many angles that could come at this from.
Yes.
So first of all, there is, you know, only a baby with a wet nappy likes change, right? Most people don't like change, right? And let me take Nigeria, the country that I know the best. We've always had generators, right? We've always used generators, and that's what everybody's used. We've had, electricity supply has not been what it needs to be. Government are doing their best to address that, but we all know that the grid cannot supply. It's not going to bridge the gap in the next 20 years. It has to be a multifaceted approach to constant power supply. So everybody has a generator, banks, everywhere. Now, that's the norm, and that's what everybody just does. When renewable energy started to make an inroach, this all comes down to acceptance. Initially, it was acceptance, and people just said, "Well, why should I? I've got my generator. I'm so used to running my generator." And then there's been a progressive change in mindset, right? So, COP28, the last one, we're talking about what's being done to the planet. There's the typical African doesn't really doesn't really resonate in the narrative. Well, it's changing about taking care of what planets. Okay, so the fact one is of acceptance. The next point is that man that's been broken down. We'll go back to it. The next point is affordability. Now, when you bring in these lithium batteries, solar panels, and you're importing them from abroad, we all have fluctuating exchange rates. It becomes quite an expensive endeavor for the common man, right? And even SMEs, the right person who really lives the price. So affordability is a fact. So the acceptance and then there's affordability. So the next item that is about, and this is a big issue, is okay, so once you have that, it's how can it actually, will it be able to carry the same load, provide the same power to run everything in my room, in my air conditioning, my fan, speech, my TV? So that then becomes, because depending on the wattage of the solar system, right, it's variable. And if you want to have something that's really powerful, it's going to be extremely expensive. Can you just like, you know what? Let me just generate. Let me just do. So those are kind of the three things that affect the adoption. However, guess what's happening? We have hyperinflation and the fuel subsidy that has been removed. Generators are still relatively okay priced, but the fuel is very expensive. That's what's happening. Everybody solar. Everybody now knows about solar. Yeah, we call them solar generators. Right. Yeah. I heard recently in the market that that's what they call them, solar generators. The generator's still in the mindset, but okay, it's a generator, There's no generator. It's solar. No, it's okay. It's a solar generator. If that's what you do, that's how. That's how. You need to, and when you're selling a new product, you need to find the right language to allow people to adopt it. And now you can't sell enough of them. The issue is one of the other major issues is you've had some sort of companies survive and some have collapsed. And the reason is this: it's a very capital intensive business. There's the whole value chain to supply. We are just focusing on solar home systems. You have mini grids where you build a mini grid and then you have to have off takers. Some of those off takers can't afford it. So I know some mini grid developers that have also set up, have gone into agriculture. You might think, why is that? Well, because the farmers, the farming community that they serve as a mini grid developer, they don't have the money. They don't have money. So if they don't have money, you build a grid, how are they going to pay for the electricity? So what they do is they also buy acres of land, turn it into agricultural productive land, hire the farmers from the villages, give them the crops and the fertilizers to plant. They sell off that produce, and from that produce, they pay them a salary, and the salary is what they can then use. So everybody's
Amazing.
you have to vertically integrate and even diversify in order to make it viable. Ubiquitous electricity supply is not. It's not a simple nuclear tablet. It's multifaceted. It's wind. It's hydro. It's mini grids. Solar home systems. But the one that is most important, and a lot of people are pushing now, is productive use. It's great that I can let little Johnny and Stan and Jane and give them electricity to do their homework. Yes, they will be future productive. However, it's about how can you encourage the NSNEs to deliver more now. So, and this is a very, very long topic, it's a deep topic, but those are essentially the key barriers and opportunities that exist for solar home providers.
Brilliant. Absolutely. There's so many gold nuggets there, but I get the point, which is again goes back to the fact that you need to understand your environment, right? You need to understand Africa is different. I think one of the points you made regarding vertical integration is we had a previous business advisor on the podcast, and she exactly said the same thing: is that Africa is different. You have to take into account your environment, and it has to be people-centric. There is no way around it.
Correct.
To be around the people that you want to provide a service for and you want to be able to get a business from. There is no way around it.
There's no. I mean, people talk about digital innovation in Africa, and it's happening in Nigeria, But if you have an innovation right now, and it's just said about 60% of Nigerians won't be able to use it. 200 doesn't really matter. They won't be able to use it because most people do not have smartphones. Most people that you know have smartphones, but that's not all of Nigeria. They have feature phones. So if you're going to come up with an innovative product, yes, design your native app. Yes, make it all the whistles and bells, build an AI, but you need to think in terms of USSD and SMS if you want to reach the masses. So it's not all the sexy stuff. Our digital journey is not. We're not 5G. We're not 4G everywhere like Europe. So I have the beauty of knowing both hemispheres, right? So and you just know automatically this is gonna work. In England right now, I don't think anybody has anything. Nobody has a future phone. Nobody. You know. Not most people don't have a feature of have a smartphone in Nigeria. So these are the nuances people need to understand. And it's not easy business, but you just need to have the right lens in order to be able to observe and read your local business.
Yeah. For the sake of our audience, do you mind explaining the difference between a smartphone and a feature phone?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do my best. I mean, I'll just use it as a user. Well, a smartphone is like iPhone. It enables you can have apps on it, and use Wi-Fi and data, and you can carry out banking services. purely just using your Wi-Fi and the data, right? So it's basically it's a platform. It's a ubiquitous product. You use it to make Apple Pay. You use it, this basically the mini computer. However, the feature phone are the basic phones where you have airtime and the highest level of data you have is SMS. So you're limited to how many characters you can send. You can't really use apps on it. And, yeah, and then that's it. It's just basically it's a basic phone when telephony started. And
Yeah.
that's what in the rural community uses. You might have
Yeah.
one champion that has an iPhone or Samsung or Infinix, whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, one of the things that Bbox does, you recognize this, right? And actually, on the back of our products that we sell, the solar home systems, we also give finance smartphones. You have thousands of customers across the rural community because we believe in not just you believe in the utility play, right? So we want to give you we also provide insurance, start insurance to our customers. Like Bbox, it's one of our innovations. All right, so we talked about innovation previously, but we always look to create logical handshake between different verticals for our customers based on millennials.
Amazing. Yeah, it's really very interesting the way you put it. But also these stats are overwhelming to think about that, more than half of all Nigerians don't have access to PayPal, for example, which you can take for granted because they don't have a smartphone and essentially using a feature phone, which is amazing. And I think it's something that those who are not from Africa and those who are willing to invest in Africa or at least try and find out ways of adding value, those are the things you have to take into account. Those are your customers.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who have money, but it's just, have a different mindset and also access to different things.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I'm a co-founder in an iGaming company, and we have an app, and everybody uses it. But we realized that we were missing out on significant, potential customers. So we have to find an innovative way, a crazy innovation actually, on how to get access to them, and it's working. So we just go. That's how you have to think. You have to
Yeah.
think. Have to think like.
Awesome. So this is all really exciting. To be fair, it might require even more time, but I'm very interested in kind of segueing a little bit into you as a mentor, and I think this is quite important. Now, your role as a mentor, specifically in the World Bank Startup Acceleration Program, what would you say are some obstacles that an entrepreneur who's fresh from reading a book and having an idea, what type of challenges, obstacles such entrepreneurs need in terms of advice on how to overcome and how to navigate through these challenges? What would you say are some of the key issues that such young entrepreneurs might need from a mentoring perspective?
Yeah, I mean, so I felt the privilege of working with World Bank for about 13 years now. More like on a pro bono consultant basis because I'm passionate about this space, right? I'm passionate about anybody finding their jigsaw space, right? That's what drives me. And working with some cohorts from Caribbean, Africa, Nigeria, and in Eastern Europe, there are common challenges, right, and obstacles that everybody faces. Okay, so but there are some localized ones. So you should take the key one, and anybody on your program on your podcast tell you, is access to fund. Right, so access to funding is always a challenge for everybody, right? Even established companies. And when it comes to startup, the most important thing is to leverage all the routes to funding that you can. You have the Y Combinators, you have all of these sorts of accelerator programs. The World Bank is one of them. Of course, but they only take 20 companies a year, so you can imagine how many that don't get them. And one of the ways to make sure that have can access finances, you must have a clear narrative, right? And not only having a clear narrative, but also having this clear, logical business case to your proposition. Making sure that you don't suffer or fall foul of groupthink. Because it's very easy for the product, the CTO, the CEO to all agree that this is the best thing in the world. Who is the person that we're going to use to make sure that it's testing your logic, right? Now, I think that's very important. One thing I also believe in, I'm a firm believer in riding the wave of the narrative. Okay, so if there's a tidal wave going in one direction and you're a surfer going against that tidal wave, there's only going to be one outcome, right? Isn't it? There's only going to be, you're going to be crushed, right? So ride the wave in the direction of the wave. Don't be so wedded to. So, for instance, if you look at business and it's talking to one of the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, then you're more likely to resonate with a wider pool of potential farmers than if it wasn't an SDG. It doesn't mean that it has to be, but again, what could you add to your proposition to make it more related so that it resonates with the people that want to spend the money? Is it focusing on gender? Is it ending financial poverty? Is it an edutech? Right? You can see these companies, they're social enterprises, and they're scaling. So I think that's one key thing that is important. It's great to have a nice, wild, crazy idea. Investors don't really invest in just the idea. They invest in scalability and they invest in the team. So that's the other thing. Who's your team? How robust is your team? Do you have diversity in your team? I think diversity is very, very important. Diversity in terms of gender, diversity in terms of competence, and also diversity in terms of age, right? It's a fallacy that only Gen Zs can build this faster. Fast. It's a real fallacy, right? I think it's good to have a couple of grey-haired guys and girls in the room as well, just to decrease, because they've been through the journey as well. And it gives a good balance. It also just lets some investors confidence that, okay, this is an inclusive business for me. Having that diversity is me, not have diversity for diversity's sake. Well, choose your network that are going to be in the business wisely so that the outcome of the proposition is going to be successful. I think understanding the route to market is very, very important. And also understanding where you fit in the value chain. I look at fintechs. God, everybody wants to launch a fintech. Well, they all occupy the same part of the fintech, the value chain. Why? Why don't you just creating competitive rivalry in the future? Then there's going to be consolidation and you get like that, right? So I had to go. I've always been a fan of a couple of phrases of Warren Buffett, which is be fearful where others are greedy, and greedy where others are fearful. During the gold rush in the States, 100 years ago, everybody was prospecting for gold. But do you know who made the money? The people that sold with shovels and the pickaxes. Because they were selling that consistently. You'd find one nugget of gold here and another nugget of gold there, grades. Sometimes you might hit the hoverboard. Fantastic. That's like the luxury. But the guys that made the money were the guys that sold the tools for you to go prospect for gold. So I like to think that's clever, right? Why don't I find this part of the value chain that nobody finds sexy and dominate that? Your margins will be high. Nobody knows about this. By the time they find out, well, you got massive, market share. That's one thing. It's not anything to pick up on that. First move advantage. Hold most people tell you that I need to be the first to launch. I'm finding that the end gamers right now, anybody gets to launch first. Well, unless you have clear off-takers, unless you have a clear lead to market, unless you have a almost monopoly on the lead to markets, then first move advantage is actually overrated. I mean, overrated. It's an overrated thought mindset stuff. Because if you are still trying to figure it out and you launch first, guess what you've done? You've just done a market survey for your competitors because they're just going to observe everything you've done wrong, and then fix that, and then launch. Right? A lot of
Yeah.
people don't know this, but Netflix, there was a company before Netflix, I've forgotten the name, it starts with S. They did exactly, so they're taking out blockbusters have already gone, you know? Then there was another company in New York or California that had the Netflix concept. What they didn't think about the streaming side of it. So Netflix just watched them, that's correct. So all their mistakes, fix the mistakes, and then I can't even remember the name of the company, right? So there
That's
you
the
go.
point.
We have the point. So the point is, first move advantage is overrated. If you have a first move advantage like AWS did, that's the difference. Now, why did AWS have first move advantage? Well, Amazon was not satisfied with providers that would help with Excel, Amazon Books. So they started to build their own tech. They built their tech for themselves, right? To enhance the selling of Amazon. And they realized that, look at my is people are asking for their tech. That's how Amazon Web Services was birthed. And we grew and grew into a monster. As Zilla and Microsoft realized that, hold on a second, we need to. So Jeff Bezos, you hear him say he won the lottery. He won the lottery with a 7-year first move advantage. But it wasn't by design. It was just because he believed and they believed in building tech for themselves. People need to understand, entrepreneurs need to understand the genesis of why other people, other entrepreneurs have been successful. It's not just the optics. You need to look a little bit deep, right, into why certain businesses gotten successful. They're both circumstances behind it. Another final nugget I'll leave, and we can talk about updates, but herd mentality, I think we've talked about that with any chain actually. Don't join the herd, don't just follow the herd. Plan deficits, right? It does. Profitability is more important than basics. That's the way I say it, You need to be a profitable business. So, that's just some things I say that I've learned along the way.
Wow, amazing. I think there's so many things there, and I'm not gonna even attempt to break down each one, but I think the message is clear, is you gotta have a mentor. That's clear. You gotta have someone who at least guides you, right? Who at least helps you to kind of go through the various aspects of trying to indeed raise capital, but more
Yep.
importantly, run a business, right? Because that's essentially the capital thing is one big but yet insignificant aspect over the long term of a business. It's pretty much everything else. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Ernest, for really giving kind of thought into different aspects that an aspiring entrepreneur needs to think about.
That's right.
Great. Okay, so now I wanted us to go into more into mentorship with respect to leadership, right? How do you mentor leaders, and what are some of the specific insights that you might have with respect to leadership in general, leadership within business, leadership in Africa? Of course, an entrepreneur needs to be a leader, but so does a working professional, right? Specifically, what are some of the kind of insights and advice you have from a leadership development perspective as a mentor?
I mean, I think that it's interesting. I was asked this question in by MTN in 2020. It was during COVID. They wanted me to go and just talk to their marketing team, and I remember I never really prepared these things. I just had a sketch in my mind, and I remember highlighting that every leader must understand their team members. Now I have 5 kids, and they're all different. And in order to engage and get the best out of each of them, I need to understand their frequencies. And I think that when you as a leader in Africa, anywhere, you need to understand the frequency of your. Everybody operates in a different way. If you're a leader, it doesn't mean that you should be flip-flopping just to accommodate people, but I know how to intuitively how to talk to people and then get them to be the best version of themselves and get the best in them, right? And it's important as a leader to also let your team know that whether you're admonishing them, whether you're praising them, that it's coming from a place of we want the best for them and the best for the business, right? So, I think that's very important that leaders, they're greater leaders than me. I'm just giving you my own perspective. Leaders need to really understand their team members and invest time in understanding them if you want to get the best out of them, right? The other thing I'd say is, and I say this to teams and to leaders. So I remember a time when I worked at a site and we had a business card, and this business card was a black business card, and it's cool and it's ultra trendy. And whenever you go to, he wants to a restaurant or he wants to change your seat on a plane, once they saw the card, he's like a Black American Express card, and you always got this back on there, right? And everybody had attention. Well, that's what happens when you're with a company. When you leave the company, you no longer have the business card. That business card is you're no longer there. And the world is such that you're no longer relevant to me, so you don't have that equity. But what I've learned with my career is there's a much better business class than the black business. Business card, you can take it. See, when you do everything in your career, is you take it, right? It lasts forever, right? It's like it's like being Taylor Swift or Michael Jackson and having a record that every single time it creates for adverts or anything to get royalties from this, right? Integrity is the best business card of anywhere because people remember how you made them feel, not what you did, right? People remember you for your ethos. And in the last job that I actually applied for, I couldn't apply for a job, was 19 months units, right? Every other job I've done was because of who I am and for what people know me for. My favorite business card. Right. So what I tell leaders and what I tell professionals is this. Treat others how you'd like to be treated. Almost work to do your best. Right? EQ is much more important than IQ any day of the week. Right? But Jeff Bezos is a very brilliant guy. He finished top of his class. And they told the story of when he started Amazon Books. And they acknowledged that there was different types of smart in the world. He said for all of his intelligence, when they were packing books, they started packing the books into boxes on the ground, and then he's packing books into boxes, shipping them out and shipping them out. And then he said that it started to hurt their backs and their knees. Right? So he mentioned to the team that, you know what we're going to do? We're going to buy knee pads so that we can save our knees, conserve our knees. It don't hurt us. And one guy said, why do that? Why don't we just buy tables so that we can stand our package quickly? Production. He said, never thought about that. Production is just accept. So it's important to know that you can have all the degrees and you can do calculus till the cows comes home. But EQ is much more. It's understanding people, understand the situation. Very, very important because nothing in the world gets done. So that's just two people. Even AI needs people, right?
Yeah.
So the robots
Yeah.
are going to do what people program them to do, right? So I think that understanding your team, being true to yourself, all the things I've said, don't ever underestimate the importance of EQ. I have so many stories of people and I'm always recruiting. That's another thing, that the leader should always be recruiting. And let me tell you what I mean by that. No matter who your team is, the composition of your team, Whenever you go to a restaurant, whenever you sit on the plane, whenever you have a conversation, always recruit and always thinking, where would you fit in our organization? Maybe we should build something around what I've heard you say. Always, you've got your antennas always on volume 10, picking up vibes, because, it's always about continuous engagement and continuous growth and banking. So those are some of the tips that I'd give, and also I think it's very important to empower the next generation so that they can bring them up. When you climb up the ladder, which you bring somebody else up, right? Always bring them up. Always push them to be the best, because, when your time comes, they'll be the ones that will push you. They'll be the ones that will support you. Right? So
Amazing. Well, finally, I would like some closing remarks from you regarding, given your extensive career, and I mean, there's so many things we've spoken of, and I believe there's a lot more behind the various points you've made. What would you say are some valuable lessons, personal lessons that you've learned with respect to innovation, but of course within your current roles across the board, that could easily be taken from inspiring people who are watching this and are hearing this? What would you say are some valuable lessons that people need to be reminded of, that you've gone through, that you consistently are in your mind, or at least you are remembering?
okay, so I believe innovation is a word that I use in all my conversations and walks of life. You know, Richard, I think it was Richard Branson, I worked for him as well before, that said that there were no new ideas on this. There's nothing you like or can think of right now that a version of it has not existed before. Right? So that's the first thing. So when we talk about new ideas, they're just a rehash, a reconstitution of what has been done before, right? So, and that's done by innovate. Okay, so innovation is very, very important. It helps companies stay competitive. It creates a sense of achievement in individuals, and more importantly, it helps drive increased customer satisfaction. We're all here to, so whether it's let me use the word stakeholder satisfaction, because not everybody that is a commercial, it's not everybody that you touch that is through a commercial transaction, right? So stakeholder satisfaction, and you can only do that by continually innovating and improving yourself. Now, when we don't talk about innovation, it's a misconception that a common misconception is that innovation is purely about how can I make my products move fast? How can I give you more whistles and bells? Yes, those are innovations, but there's also innovation that is kind of hidden. So you have innovation in service delivery, in customer services, in all aspects of your processes. Processing house. One of the things that we do in Bbox, for instance, we have regular hackathons, right? At group and in OPCO level. And we just bring people together and we say, look, right, we're going to do this hackathon, there's going to be a prize at the end of it. And once you've done that, how can you take this process of, how can we reduce the lead time of installation? How can we improve the repossession rates within our business? How can we improve collection rates? And what things can we do? And then we all come together and it's all fun. These things, once they're done, it's not visible to anybody. It's not a new shiny color, but the driven better innovation within the business. The business becomes more efficient, it's more profitable. What about culture innovation? Again, it's not written, as you can't see it, but there's certain dynamic that would change, a certain ethos, a certain way about even the words that you say to yourself. I think there's this book called The Four Agreements, and one of the first agreements is speaking recognize yourself, right? Don't beat yourself up. It's okay to fail. Fail fast, fail once, don't fail the same way that you failed. These are all innovations, right? Allowing yourself to think differently is innovation, right? So I've learned that these things help drive a better business. But when you have a commonality around it, you will see that your business starts to improve. I mean, Nigeria is one of the most 2 years in a row. We achieved great things. Last year with Ghana, that was like outstanding performance and oneness. So we learn from each other. We're always learning ideas. So I think cross-fertilization of ideas and creating an environment as a leader, as our executive, is an innovation that allows us to foster greater ideas and to blossom. So if we have one idea somewhere and it works, we replicate it. So I think leaders need to innovate, they need to encourage an environment of innovation, right? Allow people to come up with ideas. In fact, when I'm having team meetings, I've done this throughout my career. You have a team of maybe 10 people. There's always someone that's loud and is coming up with all the right answers. And there's always someone that's quiet. Doesn't really talk much. Before that meeting ends, I can guarantee I would say, you little back that hasn't got very soft and light voice, what do you think? And the person might say, well, I think everyone has said what I would have said. And I'll say, okay, great. But what do you think? I want to know. What do you think about this idea? What do you think? It can really be better. Well, the person will say, well, I'm not quite sure. Well, how would the ABC? And everyone stops and freezes and thinks, that's the best idea we've heard all day. So a leader needs to encourage that type of dialogue to happen and not just listen to the voice that is the loudest.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say on innovation.
Brilliant. Ernest, thank you so much. This has been incredible. We've gone from your family to kind of going to the UK and back, and renewable energy and farmers being given land from people who are doing solar. It's been such an amazing conversation. I'm really thankful. Thank you so much again for coming. This has been really good.